What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Coffee with Dudes. We got another solo episode this week, and something I've been thinking a lot about is a topic that I struggle with a lot and have struggled with throughout my life, and that's unrealistic expectations, right? And how we go about setting the right expectations, what like expectations that are unrealistic or certain expectations due to how we feel about a certain thing. And I've been thinking a lot about this because I've struggled with this in certain areas of my life where, expecting to be in like the best shape ever, or, in my career, expecting to sell every appointment. And like when you go in with this expectation in that sense that like everybody's going to say yes, if people say no, it just crushes you, right? Or like if you continue to have that expectation, you drag other appointments into the new ones. And like the same thing applies to health and fitness, which is a huge topic of, our podcast, where, if you have expectations that you're going to lose 5 pounds a week, then if you don't lose 5 pounds a week, you essentially are telling yourself you're failing. And so then your response to that is going to be, frustration or disappointment. Like some people might even feel like shame around those kind of things because they expected this and it was just impossible for them to meet these high expectations. And I've seen this so much in coaching clients where it's it kind of connects to what I talked about recently on the podcast with comparison, right? Where we see somebody doing a certain thing or somebody claiming to get these certain results for somebody. Like, you see it a lot in like keto and different, like the different shots that people will take where they lose all of this weight in such a short period of time. And they're like, oh, I lost 100 pounds in 3 months, right? Which is, basically losing a pound a day. And that's really not, there's probably not a lot of people who've done that, but you've seen like these huge stories of people losing 20 pounds in a month or even 15 pounds in a month, which means that they're losing a half a pound a day. And the problem with this is like that's such accelerated weight loss to the point of that these people are going to struggle to keep it on because or keep it off because their body is effectively losing a lot of muscle too in the process. So you're effectively not able to eat as much food as you were before, which is going to naturally go down. But when you're holding on to as much muscle as possible, to do that, we need to be in a smaller calorie deficit. We need to lose like less weight over the course of time. And, a lot of times there, you're going to see more of like inches off. Your clothes are going to fit better, going about it in a certain way. But when certain people see these things of, oh, tons of people are losing 15 pounds in a month, like that is what the goal is. And that is what the expectation is like, I'm going to lose this much. Like I'm going to be in the biggest calorie deficit ever. And the problem is like, maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Right. And if you do, then you're happy. But the thing is like a lot of times we set these expectations that are so unrealistic. There's no chance that we ever will hit it, or there's no chance that we'll ever consistently hit it. Right. It's like, oh, always wanting to that scale to go down every week. It's not realistic. That's always going to be the case, or always wanting to go down every day. It's not realistic. And so then we're not going to feel good about ourselves. And then that, like when we don't feel good about the result and we're disappointed, frustrated, shameful, then at a certain point people quit, right? They're like, I'm not going to keep doing this. Like I'm going to, move careers, or I'm going to do something else, or why should I even try losing weight or get in better shape? Like every time this happens where I hit a roadblock, I fail, and then I quit. Right. And so, I kind of looked into this a little bit just to kind of give some other things, just some other science on it too. And this is what I came up with. So your brain, it constantly predicts outcomes. And so when they differ from the prediction that we are assuming is going to happen, we get emotional responses, which is how our expectations lead to a feeling inside of us. And if those expectations, or if the reality of the outcome from our expectation is better than expected, we get a dopamine release, we get more like satisfaction, more motivation. It drives us to move forward. If it's worse than expected, it's like disappointment, frustration, shame, and it moves us back a little bit. And problem is like one of the big things that it says here is that unrealistic, or we as humans, we feel our losses way more intensely than our successes. Like and that can sometimes drive people to perform better, but in the same token, like if when you fall short of expectations, the negative feeling or is way, let me rephrase this. So like we feel negative things a lot higher, like a lot worse than like the gain, like when we have a similar gain than we do a loss, we do not feel like the success nearly as much as we do the fail, right? And so when we think about this, it kind of goes down to things that we've talked about on this podcast in the past. It's just like we need to really look at what we're expecting from our journey. I had to reevaluate this actually recently in my career, where I had these way unrealistic expectations, and it was leading for me to like not be successful, and I was just feeling like down after every like so quote unquote failure. But the thing is like we need to really expand things over a long period of time and get away from like perfection. Like it's so unrealistic to think that every day is going to be perfect, that every week's going to be great, and that we're always going to hit our goals, right? And that's why it's so important to focus on like the process, right? Focus on the things that are within our control. Like our expectation, it shouldn't be that we're going to be perfect with hitting every single habit that we put out there. It shouldn't be, the expectation, it honestly shouldn't be around the outcome necessarily, because when it's around the outcome, it sets us ourselves up for feelings of that disappointment, shame, frustration, all of those negative feelings that we don't necessarily want to feel. If we put our expectations around the things that are within our control, we're going to be a lot more successful. So for example, don't put your expectations on losing 5 pounds this week. Put your expectations on walking every day, getting 3 workouts in, and eating X amount of protein, 100 grams of protein every day, right? If those are the expectations, then we're putting those in, like they're in our control, and that result's going to come eventually, right? Now, that result, you're not going to lose 5 pounds in a week, but like set the goal, right? Set like, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to, be down to a size 3, or whatever it is that you want to do. But expectations around the like not around the outcome, but around the process, like process oriented expectations, things that you can commit to. And again, we want to make sure that we're realistic with these as well. Like don't tell yourself that you're going to walk 10,000 steps a day if you've struggled to walk 5,000 steps. If you want to improve on that, maybe we start with 6,000 steps a day. Or like I said, like just walk every day, right? Walk every day, get X amount of workouts in a week. Focus your expectations on 2 to 3 things that you can do every single day, and you're going to move forward. You're going to hit your goals eventually, but know that you're actually doing it in a way that is going to allow those goals to actually stick and be there long term. And so that is kind of the main thing that I wanted to talk about today. I a lot of the times, like what I'm going over is stuff that I struggle a lot with, and expectations is something that it keeps coming up every once in a while. Every 6 months, you forget about it, right? It's like anything, like we forget about it, but this is just a good reminder for anybody out there. Set your goals, but then try to get away from the results. Try to take your attention away from the result and put your attention on the daily habits, the daily things or the weekly things that you can do to move yourself forward. And if we just focus on getting a little bit better every single day, every single week, there might be steps back, but like if over the course of time we're continuing to move forward, we're going to eventually achieve what we want to achieve. And like I struggle a lot with like stressing about stuff, and God, like when I zoom out, it's crazy how little those things can feel in the grand scheme of things. Because I mean, we just don't know how long we have on this earth, and and it's so hard too to really not stress about things, especially when your body's just used to stressing about it. But that's another thing that I'm really trying to do a little bit better is not only just adjust my expectations to things that are within my control, but also just really try to like not stress about stuff as much. Just try to like just go with the flow a little bit more, live a little bit more in the moment, and see how I can, how much better I feel. Because I know for anybody out there, like stress, it's the big killer, right? It's just and it's something that I, for whatever reason, stress and anxiety continue to pop up. But I know that a lot of the stuff that I do stress about and I'm anxious about, they don't really matter that much. And like when I actually look at them from a different angle, it's like, well, why am I even worrying about that? Right? It's not within my control. It's not something that's even going to happen. That's like my brain predicting things that aren't even relevant. And so that's kind of a thing in my life that I'm gonna try to continue to do, and try to give some updates as I go. But as always, I really do appreciate every single one of you that clicks in here and watches or listens to us every single week. Again, we drop all these pods every Tuesday, Thursday, 6 a.m. Pacific time. And so if you aren't subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And then if this was helpful for you, just share it with somebody that you think could benefit from it. That's all that we ask. Appreciate you listening, watching every week. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll be talking to you soon.